within the political constraints that we have. Now, here let me just say something about this. And you know, somebody asked me earlier about my Christian values. And one of the points I made is that when the settlers came to the New World, they found a very widespread child sacrifice. I imagine there are some people who don't agree with my view on the pro-life issue. Let me just make an observation. If you go to historical archaeological sites where there were brothels, and the two oldest businesses in the world are gambling and prostitution, so there were brothels even in very ancient civilizations. If you go back to ancient brothels and you dig up the bones of the women who were working in these places, you will very often find a lot of children who were buried with them. And the answer is that whenever a society decides to discard innocent babies, they also don't treat their women very well. And whenever a society mistreats its women, it is very often the babies who come right after that. There is a reason why Christian civilization ended the practice of child sacrifice all over the world, and it's one of the great accomplishments of Christian civilization. I believe that we should try to be protecting every unborn life. There's a question of exactly how we do it, but I would never say that anyone's right to life should be sacrificed. Thank you, ma'am.
So that is what JD Vance just said. There's a lot to unpack. Hi, I'm Birdie. I am a descendant of an Indian boarding school survivor. My grandmother survived Wrangell Institute in Alaska. And my dad works in repatriation for our tribe. He has done so since before I was born, and I got gray hair. I'm old. Hi, I am Tlingit. I am Dakhloedi, which is Eagle Killawell clan from Southeast Alaska. Sitka is where most of my family is. I don't think it's any coincidence that JD Vance over here is bringing out new anti-Indigenous talking points, particularly to these effects. I am pretty sure that this is in response to the mass-scale effort that is taking place all across the country to return Native American children and adults from institutions and the graveyards of Indian boarding schools. And you know what? I actually find it interesting that he cited brothels specifically. The priests certainly treated the boarding schools like they were. Records show that they knew, actually, and they sent the worst of them out to Alaska. It wasn't just boarding schools. There were asylums, sanitariums, so many institutions that were federally funded and mostly, oftentimes, run by churches that not only stripped Native people and children of their culture and heritage, but oftentimes used them for labor. Native people, over and over, stripped from their land, locked away in an institution, and if they were lucky, they would end up in a marked grave. There are so many people that we can't find. Oftentimes, it's only financial records that are left that mark that these people even existed. Children died, and there were babies born. Many of them were burned. So yes, JD Vance, all across the country, at sacred sites, there are Native people and babies in the ground. And your ancestors helped put them there.